want to talk about today
There are police reported ahead.
is my sort of theory about hypermobility and athleticism,
In 2
and
miles, take
it's
exit
basically a
2 toward
combination of
Miamisburg
multiple
Centerville.
different things where it's like yesterday I was watching this podcast about fascia, specifically about like the foot and how it's the foot has a lot of mechanoreceptors, and it's like there's clinical trials now where it's like just by training the foot, like barefoot training the fascia in the foot and getting that better integrated with the rest of the body, they're able to like increase athletes' vertical jump without actually weightlifting. It's like basically instead of doing stuff like power cleans or like loaded jumps, depth jumps, stuff like that, which mainly I feel like to go to a car analogy, that's like getting a bigger engine, getting a bigger turbo, versus training the foot, that's like getting a more efficient transmission where you're losing less percentage of the power generated by the engine in the transmission, so more of it actually gets to the ground. So it's like you would do all the weightlifting, all the like box jumps, jump training in the world, but then if like, especially with hypermobility, with like the joint laxity, if all the power is leaking out of the foot before it can actually be transmitted to the ground, then like you're getting, it's like you could double your power output, but then if you're only like 50% of it is actually going into the ground because half of it is just leaking from your foot, that's like not a efficient way to train. And then this gets into the second part of my theory, which is that part of what the point of the podcast is like,
at the next light, turn left.
It's not necessarily that people are athletic or unathletic naturally. That is a component of it. But also another big component is like how you were developed as a kid. And the podcast made the point about how like generally a lot of people, like if you look at like Brazilian soccer players, a lot of them grew up like playing soccer barefoot in the favelas, or like even like look at like baseball players from the Dominican Republic. Like a lot of people, like growing up barefoot is kind of key, and that's why I think I have a lot more athletic potential myself than I'm currently expressing, especially with the proper training if I lock in the next few years. Because if you look at my sort of childhood development arc, if you were trying to make a case study about like how do you minimize a child's athletic development, that would literally be my childhood. Because basically for my whole childhood, I wouldn't even be wearing like normal sort of like average shoes. I would be wearing like super thick, basically the Asics Max cushion running shoes. That was my like go-to daily shoe that I liked wearing for years. And it was like as soon as one pair of those wore out, I would buy another pair. And so that's basically the worst possible shoe you can wear for developing sort of athleticism and proprioception. Is like an Asics like Max cushion running shoe, where it's just like your entire foot is like encased in like a foam pad all the time, and you're unable to develop that body awareness or proprioception. And like there are other factors that play too, where it was like I grew up
in half a mile
in a country where I spent like the majority of my childhood in a country where sports, it's very like, well, I grew up in China, and China has almost this sort of like caste system, not as obvious as India, but it's almost like where if you're at a certain socioeconomic level, it's like playing sports or being active is looked down on. It's like, that's something for poor people to do, or that's like something you do if you don't have if your brain is like, if you're sharp enough mentally, it's like, why are you playing sports? You should be studying all the time. So that's like something where in the culture that I was brought up in, sports was not emphasized during my development. So I really did not have much like athletic experience as a kid. Like I had minor stuff, but it was never emphasized. Like the most, like even like sports practice at my school, it was only like
Turn right into the
twice a
parking lot.
week. So I just think with everything I'm learning now about like foot training, about the fascia, and it's like, so I've already been weightlifting, I've been bodybuilding, all this stuff. It's like I've been building a bigger engine on my car. And another thing with the hypermobility aspect is I've been building the engine, but I haven't, basically, I got an engine now. I have that sort of raw strength aspect, but now it's about, but really, I thought all I had to do was build the engine, but now I need to build the brakes, which is the stability aspect for hypermobility. Stability and proprioception is the brakes. You'd also say maybe it's like the ABS or like the traction control. And then what I also need is I need to upgrade my transmission, or you could say I need to upgrade my clutch, because I got like a custom ECU flash, you know, big turbo, but I'm still on the stock clutch, with the clutch for the human body being the feet, where it's like the engine now has so much power that the clutch is like slipping, you know, anytime I put the gas down. So it's like I gotta upgrade, I gotta get a stage 2 clutch, so I can actually put the power down and the clutch doesn't slip. So I think that's what the feet is analogous to in the human body, is analogous to the clutch on a car. So that's why I'm getting into, there's a lot of content out there about foot training. And the thing is, it's such low hanging fruit because it's so easy to recover from. It's like not like you can just program it in. Like, so basically what I've been doing is, now I have this sort of, it's called a high-low nervous system split, where you never do anything that's high CNS 2 days in a row. So example of like high CNS would be like jumping, like depth drops, like full like contact sports, or like just like full games of basketball, like a lot of like power cleans, jumping, high output explosive stuff, med ball throws, anything like that. And low CNS would be stuff like sort of stability work, balance work, like proprioception, like juggling, or like bouncing a ball, stuff like that, like static dribbling drills for basketball, or like bodybuilding. Obviously, if you like go fucking Tom Platz, like Mike Menser style bodybuilding and go like insane, that's going to be high CNS, because it's like anything can be high CNS if you do enough of it. So like if I do stability, if I'm like on a Bosu ball for like 3 hours straight, that's still going to be high CNS. But it's like any sort of normal volume of stability training, or like a normal volume of bodybuilding, where you're not going like all out, like every set to failure or shit like that, that would be considered low CNS. So now it's like I got this sort of high-low CNS split, and on the low days, I'm doing like a lot of, there's like so much more stuff other than just bodybuilding. It's like you got there's also like eye training. That's something I didn't even realize was a thing, but you can literally train your eyes to be better at tracking objects. It's like aim labs in real life. So that's like something I'm going to start doing on the low CNS days as well. And that thing about that is like, it's so easy to just do eye training. Like when you're in the car is actually a really good spot, because if you have like a car where it's like semi self-driving, and you just like train your eyes, you know, while you're driving, you like try to look back and forth as fast as possible, or track different objects as they're moving. That's like, and if you've never trained it before, that's like exponential improvement at first. So I think between all these things, I can actually, and now knowing all this stuff, it's like I have this like untapped potential. And I don't think I'm going to go pro in anything, but I think I can go, because right now I was literally cut from my middle school. Well, I wasn't cut from middle school basketball, It was like I played 1 year, and it was because I was like the tallest kid on the team in middle school, because I had an early sort of growth spurt, and it's like I played like 2 minutes a game. They just had me in to like try to grab rebounds and shit, and I couldn't even do that because I was so uncoordinated. My proprioception was so bad, and I would like constantly be like jamming my fingers, spraining my ankles, because I didn't have the muscle or the proprioception or like the fascial full body connection. So it's like, but now that I know, now that my brain is developed to know like how to train that stuff, I think I can basically re-engineer my body to become, I think within this year, I can become like a solid rec league player in basketball, because I already, like I said, I already have the engine. I have enough strength to play rec league basketball, and my cardio is easy. All you have to do is like do more cardio to get cardio. And also now, especially that I've got the palate expander, and it's like my nose isn't like congested all the time. I can actually like breathe through my nose properly, because it's not, my nasal valve isn't collapsing anymore with the palate expander. It's like the cardio piece is basically solved, and I have the engine. Now all I need to do is upgrade the clutch and upgrade the transmission. Upgrade the clutch. I need to upgrade the clutch, which is the foot piece, the foot and the lower leg complex. And then I need to upgrade the ABS and the brakes, which is just the stability training, and sort of getting that more sort of full body nervous system integration, where I'm like able to move in different ways, not just the rigid sort of movements where I know how to do a squat really good, I know how to do a snatch or a power clean, but now it's like moving in 3 dimensions and moving, adjusting on the fly, stuff like that. So between all those, I think this year I can become a solid rec league basketball player, where people probably would assume that I had at least some sort of basketball experience in the past. And we'll just go from there. We can see like how far this will go. But I think I just have this feeling that between all the, now that I have this kind of complete picture of training, and I know I'm hypermobile, I know what I need to work on, and I have now, like, I'm an adult, graduated college, I have a steady income, a steady sort of predictable schedule where I can sort of decide what I want to do with my free time. And like, this is what I want to do with my free time. So yeah, I'll probably keep and also the thing about basketball, why basketball? The thing about basketball is, out of every sort of sport, first of all, I have a good build for basketball. Like, I'm 6'2", which is good enough, which is considered like small by NBA standards. But for any sort of level below like the NBA, 6'2" is like above average for basketball. And I got a long wingspan. I got like long limbs and stuff. So I already have that sort of basketball build. And the main thing is, basketball is the lowest friction sport. It's like, the thing about video games, what can you do? Video games, this is the reason why video games are like crack. Like FPS games are like crack for neurodivergent brains. It's because it's that instant improvement loop. It's like, you sit down on your computer, you boot up the game, you play a few games, you have a plugin that automatically records the game, you watch the game back, you can send the plugin to an online coach, he'll review your footage, you close the game, instantly boot up aim labs, practice your like skills, your flicks and all that. And that's like instant improvement. That's like, imagine if you had a gym where, you had a shooting machine, you had people like 24/7 access to a coach, you had like 24/7 access to someone like 20 people who would rebound for you and like pass the ball to you from whatever angle you want. That's basically what video games are. It's like improvement with all the sort of social friction removed, and all the sort of friction of the shit that makes playing a sport annoying, like you gotta drive to the gym, you gotta drive here for skill training, you gotta sign up for AAU, you gotta do all this stuff. Video games are like, it's that same sort of in process, obviously not physical because you're sitting in a chair, but it's that same sort of process with all the things where like you have to get your parents to do it. All of that stuff is removed. So it's like, especially like I said, I grew up in a culture where like if you were above a certain socioeconomic class, it's like parents weren't gonna fucking drive you around to different like coaches, or like drive you around to practices to get you better at a sport. And not to mention, like, at the time I didn't really understand it. So it's like, so back to the reason why basketball. So basketball is essentially the sport where it's the most similar, where if you're playing solo, trying to get improved solo as an adult, it's the most similar to a video game in the sense that every sort of big box gym, like LA Fitness, whatever, 24/7 fitness, anywhere fitness, every like military based gym, etc., they're all gonna have a basketball court right next to the weight room. And the weight room is gonna have all of your, that's like the aim labs. Like if you're playing Valorant, you boot up a competitive game, and then you end the game, you go straight to aim labs to work on your aim, and then so that's like the weight room. It's like you have all the things there to work on, like isolate different aspects of your game, and then you have a basketball court right there to work on like game specific stuff, and you don't have to drive to different places. And like, because that's huge, as if you have a 9 to 5, like obviously you don't have all day to train, so eliminating that sort of dead time or wasted time is huge. So that's why I have chosen basketball as the sort of canvas or the sort of goal for this experiment, where it's like, how far can I really take this shit? And it's just like about eliminating that dead time. And I think like basketball is global, and also it being indoors is huge. The fact that you can train year round, and also it's like in a small space, and also small sided games is huge. Like it's way easier to just like find someone. If you're training solo, just find a random guy in the gym, play some 1v1, try to start integrating whatever drills you've been working on solo, versus in other, even something like soccer, it's harder compared to basketball. Because basketball, you can go like 1-on-1 all the way to 5-on-5, different sort of small-sided games that just make that learning and improvement process like easier. It makes it like, it's like the most similar to a video game. Yeah. So yeah, this is, and also now it's like I'm not treating my athletic development as a sort of I'm not a late stage athlete. It's like I might be an adult, but my sort of cumulative athletic experiences and depth and breadth of experiences are relatively low. Like I played a little bit of volleyball in middle school. I played a little bit of basketball. And then in high school, I essentially did not do like athletic sports, you know. I did endurance sports. I was rowing for a bit, and I did COVID wrestling, which doesn't really, we were just doing like random drills a few times a week. Couldn't even wrestle because it was like COVID, in a strict COVID state. And then also did like football. And I was a second string like defensive end at a small high school. So it's like, and the thing about that is like, football is also sort of like, especially if you're like a defensive end, like you just have like it's like a brute strength sort of thing. It's not like basketball where you have to, there's a lot more like, you'll see a lot more gains from stuff like juggling or like the eye training or stuff. So it's like my cumulative athletic background is like very limited. So that's why on this rec league quest to become a good rec league basketball player, so I'm not only going to play basketball, because I'm not at the point of specialization yet. It's like I want to, like yesterday I went to a tricking gym to learn how to backflip. And I got to the point where I could like land on my knees, but I wasn't rotating enough. So like, yeah, I'm gonna do tricking, I'm gonna do like parkour, I'm gonna do like gymnastics, like probably get into dance as well, different types of dance, maybe break dancing, like any sort of thing where I develop that body awareness, body control, and like probably like even like just go to just like shock the body where it's constantly having to learn some new thing. And doing that in addition to training the feet, still being in the gym, getting strong, lifting weights, still bodybuilding, because if you're for hypermobile people, that bodybuilding I think is key, because it's like that's the armor. Your muscles do the job your ligaments would normally do. So like still doing all that, but doing it in this high-low nervous system schedule and listening to my body, taking rest days when I need to. But even on a rest day, you can train other stuff that's like low impact, like juggling, train your hand-eye coordination, any sort of drills. There's always something you can train. And it's like, I feel like now I'm at the point where, you know, I graduated college. I was in a double major, which was super stressful. And now I'm at the point where I'm kind of in a secure spot. I'm not in fight or flight all the time. Like I can get all my dopamine from training. So like I'm not like mindlessly doing like stupid shit, or like I'm not like burned out all the time. And I can have this be my main hobby and just like go to work and perform at work, do my job. And basically my entire, like this is all, I don't know, this is a kind of hyper focused thing where right now this is like all I'm really caring about is like trying to learn and improve. And I'm sure there will come a point where I'm like less hyper focused, but at least for now I'm just like kind of riding the wave while it happens. And yeah, so high-low nervous system training split, and also like multiple mini sessions a day. That's what I've already been doing for my patellar tendinopathy, doing like isos multiple times a day. That's been really helpful. And also I'm adding the short foot iso multiple times a day and the Achilles iso. And then I can probably do the foot training every day, like the towel curls and stuff. And I think between all this training, within 1 to 2 years, I'll become a good rec league basketball player. And if I achieve that goal, we can see if I can go further, or I might want to switch it up and go do like focus on other stuff. But that's the objective right now. And yeah, this was a super long video. Talked about a shit ton of different stuff, but yeah, had a lot I wanted to say. So, and like to add on to that point about like me not developing properly, it's like obviously it's not my parents' fault that it's like my mom like grew up like way poor, and like back when China was like fully communist. It was like she always made sure like she didn't want me to be like walking around barefoot in the house as a kid, because like, you know, that's for the poor. It's like we're not poor anymore. So she always made sure I was wearing slippers. So it was like good intentions, you know, out of her wanting a better life for me. But ultimately that just had some second and third order effects of like constantly wearing slippers around the house, just combined with the hypermobility, just makes it so my fascia never developed that connection, from that foot to glute connection, and my foot mechanoreceptors never got stimulated the way they should have been. So that's something now that I'm trying to correct. Like I've been in like the whole barefoot shoe thing since like high school. That's when I started getting like barefoot pilled. But it's like that's really not enough, because it's like you gotta think, I was wearing max cushion Asics for like probably at least 10 years, but I was only doing barefoot shoes like starting from now. Well, I started in high school, so it's been about probably 8 years in barefoot shoes, and even in barefoot shoes is not the same as bare feet.
In half a mile,
so it's like
for Wilmington Pike towards Centerville, Belleville.
You can either be barefoot and just get that natural sort of training over a longer period of time, or you have to consciously, in order to get the same results in a shorter period of time, you need to consciously do barefoot exercises every day, not only to correct incorrect movement patterns, but also to just get way more reps in a day. Because it's like doing something like towel curls every day for like a minute straight, where you're just trying to curl a towel with your toes, and just like until you your foot muscle completely burns out. Like if you were naturally grew up barefoot, you might have got the equivalent of like 3 minutes of towel curls worth of like toe muscle activation in like a couple days, or maybe a week, because like your toe muscles really aren't grabbing like constantly. But it's like if you do the towel curls for a few minutes every day, you're like compressing that development into a shorter period of time, to where I think it's possible to like reverse like poor childhood development in terms of not being barefoot, and to basically develop that sort of fascial connection at a faster rate than if you. It's like growing plants in a greenhouse. Yes, plants can grow naturally out in the open, but if you have a greenhouse, that's like a more efficient way to grow plants. You have like longer growing season, they're getting like optimal temperature, they grow bigger and faster. And that's how I feel like I gotta do it now, where it's like, now I know all this science, and now I've got to put my body in the greenhouse, in like the hyperbolic time chamber, because I can't let window for like natural development has already passed. Now it's about correcting improper development in a shorter time period, which I think is possible if with the right training protocols. So yeah, and it's like these things, like obviously a lot of like normies, I feel like in general, who aren't really like, who don't like, people don't really care about this shit. Like this is like mega like nerdy stuff. Like no one's really like thinking about it this deep. Like people would probably, like if I started talking to like some random person on the street about this, they like probably would not get it at all. But it's like, this shit is like an iceberg, it goes like way deeper. And I think that the hypermobility also has something to do with that, like me thinking about this stuff a lot deeper. Because it's like that hypermobility, basically it changes the way your brain works, because your brain having to be hyper aware of where your joints are in space and how your body is behaving to like not injure itself. Basically, I feel like it just rewires how your brain works in general and how it thinks about other stuff too, to the point where you're just hyper aware of details and like hyper vigilant about other stuff. And like in extreme cases, from what I've read, like that can even manifest in like hypermobility can like cause anxiety in extreme cases, to where it's like you're just constantly overthinking shit all the time and you're in an anxious like state of mind. So it's like me being hypermobile contributed to me not developing properly athletically as a kid, but it is also now contributing to me figuring out how to cure my improper development. So it's like it was the sickness and the cure at the same time, in a weird way.